The Chinese telecom giant Huawei reportedly has closer ties to the country's military than had been previously disclosed. The new report follows allegations from the Trump administration. Officials claim that the company collaborates with Chinese intelligence agents. And according to an opinion article in the Washington Post, the company's alleged dishonesty could signal a national security threat to the U.S. Well, last week at the G20 summit in Japan, the U.S. and China agreed to resume discussions on trade. Isaac Stonefish actually wrote the Washington Post opinions article, and he joins us now. He's a CBSN contributor and a senior fellow at the Asia Society. So you looked in to the leadership structure at Huawei. What did you find?
That the current chairman of Huawei went to a Chinese military academy, and that the chief legal officer actually did his undergrad, graduate degree, and PhD at Chinese National Defense University. Information that was on the Chinese internet but never advertised or shared by Huawei and not widely known, and I think actually quite important when we think about Huawei and the way that the U.S. should engage with it.
Why is that so important?
It's important because the military in China, the People's Liberation Army, is actually not controlled by the country, but it's controlled by the Communist Party. And the opaque ties between the party, the military, and Huawei are something that we should be really concerned about because we don't actually know what's going on here. And in this absence of good information and this absence of honesty from Huawei, we unfortunately have to be more suspicious than perhaps it would need to be otherwise.
You say that Huawei is a national security threat. Is there hard evidence to prove this?
The hard evidence is that we know that Huawei has deep ties with the party and the military. We know that the tensions between the U.S. and China are such that if Beijing were to ask Huawei to act in ways to sort of serve as a sleeper agent, so to speak, in the U.S., Huawei would certainly do so. The difficulty with dealing with Chinese firms like Huawei is, as you said, there is no smoking gun. There's no direct indication that, okay, Huawei we know is going to serve or play this role. But we do have to think of things in terms of risk, in terms of percentages. And the percentage for this is high enough that we should be doing something about it.
You know, the president said it's okay for the U.S. to sell, to do business with Huawei. What's the end game here with Huawei? I mean, it is an incredibly significant and powerful. This company did not just, show up out of nowhere at this point. Getting rid of it is not possible, right? So what's the end game for the U.S. in dealing with Huawei?
I think you bring up a really important point. We don't actually know as a country what our end game is in dealing with national security threats like Huawei or dealing with various other aspects of the party state. I think what we're trying to do as a country right now is how do we come up with a strategy that manages our relationship with a communist party that's turning out to be a lot less friendly for American interests than we thought. So I think it's something that we need to have a national debate about. We need to try to figure out what do we want from China and what can we do about it. And
especially as this kind of technology that they offer is something not that just the U.S. needs, but other European countries are willing to sign up for and at certain costs. I do want to ask you, though, before you go, about the trade situation, negotiations between the U.S. and China. Where are we on that?
So we actually find ourselves coincidentally on the one-year anniversary today of the U.S.-China trade war. And really, it seems like both sides are settling in for the long haul. This really could be the new normal where tensions as opposed to amity defines the relationship on the economic side between the U.S. and China. So I'm not optimistic that we're going to come back and have a chat in a month or two and there's going to be this big signature session between Trump and China's chairman Xi Jinping. I think this is really what we're going to see moving forward.
Isaac Stonefish, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.